Happy Sunday, y'all. That's my grumpy builder just delivered this bacon butty. Cool, look at that. Sorry for all the vegetarians out there, but you know, bacon. Right, quick fluff of the hair, boys and girls. We need to fluff, especially when one has washed curly hair. It goes all a bit flat. There we go. Dull backdrop though, isn't it? Do you want to see me wet wipes? Is that better? Good morning, everybody. How are you all, my little friends what live in the internet? Welcome back to a beautiful, calm, sunny Cornwall. Oh, if I could be bothered, I'd turn the camera around and just show you how delicious it all looks out there. Actually, I can't be bothered, but I will show you out the driver's window into our field. Oh, ain't that pretty? Where were you? Is that good? Get to see my little frou-frou then. Sounds a bit rude, doesn't it? Anyway, good morning. How are you all doing? Hope you're all well. Sunday my world, Monday in your world, and it's time for dun 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 hashtag Q&A Sunday. I do like that. Right. I didn't know how to do this, so I've just stuck as many questions of yours that I could find, and I've got a horrible feeling that I've missed some, so I'm really sorry if I don't get to yours. And I tracked down as many of your questions as I could, and I stuck them onto a Word document, so I'm going to be looking over here occasionally to read out a question. I've also got a mug of coffee, but I must make some fresh cold brew today for the week ahead. Anyway, shall we do it? Shall we? Q&A Sunday. Right, first one is from my lovely friend Mary, who I don't really know Mary apart from watching her videos, and I connect with you, Mary. I feel that we'd be friends in real life. Mary wants to know, do chickens eat the snail shell and all? Yes, they do, Mary, which is good because it's calcium, so it helps them create stronger shells on the eggs that they lay. Now, if you get one of those big snails, they ain't going to touch that, but what they really like are those ickle diddy ones that you know when you're clearing out leaves and you find little baby snails like in a nice little damp nook in the garden. Oh, they're the ones they love. They're like proper little sweeties. And something that the ducks like, interestingly, is you often see the duck with their bill like in the grass, kind of doing that in the grass roots. And what I've realized over the years is that when they're doing that, they're snuffling out tiny little slugs like that sort of size. And I don't know if they're baby slugs or if that's just a type of slug that only gets to that big, no idea, but they love them. And we refer to those tiny little slugs when we see them as wine gums, because I can imagine that for a duck, chewing on a baby slug would be very similar to us chewing on a wine gum, if slightly less tasty. Now, I have seen YouTube videos, interestingly, where, you get, well, I think you live somewhere hot, don't you, Mary? I want to say California. I might be completely making that up. But here in damp land, we can get monster slugs, like huge ones. And I have seen on a YouTube channel, a guy collects the big slugs and throws them into his chicken run. The chickens eat them. Mine wouldn't touch them with a barge pole. But apparently he said the way to train your chickens up to eat a big slug is, this is vile, I warn you, is you get the slug and you chop them with a pair of scissors and drop the chunks into the chicken run. Apparently it gives them a taste for them, and then they'll rootle out and find the big ones and they'll actually eat them in one. Oh my god, I could not think of anything worse. Darren says, brilliant vid again. Thanks, mate. Loving Jet. I tell you what, Jet has got her own fan club, hasn't she? Bless her. She is a superstar. Darren wants to know, will I be covering the large polytunnels in the allotment? My dad put those polytunnels in, I don't even know, like 15, 20 years ago. I think the one in the middle, so between my little allotment and the far frame, I think the one in the middle, I'm not entirely sure that that's ever actually had a cover put on it. The far tunnel had a cover put on it at a great expense. I think it cost £2,000 for Mum to buy the plastic and to get someone to come and fit it, because they are quite tricky. Those really big tunnels, they're quite tricky to cover. And unfortunately, we had a couple of accidents with neighbours also using it, and a knife went through the plastic when it wasn't very old. And then got some tree damage on it and stuff, and then in a storm, unfortunately, the whole plastic ripped. I think there's a horribly old video on this channel showing that. I wouldn't bother going to see it. It's not very interesting. None of us have the cash to recover them. Even if we had the money sitting around, it wouldn't be top of our list on things we want to be spending on right now. My little tunnel cost me 400 quid, and I think it's that 10 foot long. It's tiny. They're really, really expensive. You can bodge your own polytunnel up, and Johnny and I have talked about doing that, because I think we've still got some plastic left over in one of the sheds here, so we could possibly make up our own using that blue plastic piping. I don't know. But at the moment, we're fine with what we've got. I've always really gardened indoors in the tunnels, so for me, learning to garden outside is probably a really good thing anyway, to be honest. Now, I've actually got 2 questions here that I'm going to answer as one. One is from Sharon. She says, you say you're not from Cornwall, but your mum is nearby. What's your history and how did you end up on the farm with Johnny? And Fiona asks, is your farm a family-owned farm? I see your mum and you've mentioned your brother, but when you say allotment, I think of community/neighbourhood garden. So, quick history lesson for us Sarshays. My mum and dad bought this farm in Cornwall back in the late 70s. They moved my brother and I over here from where we were born, which was in Guernsey. I'll pop a little picture here of the UK and you can see where the Channel Islands are, just because I'm guessing a lot of people that don't live in the UK won't have ever heard possibly of the Channel Islands. They're teeny weeny little islands close to France. So my brother and I were born in Guernsey, the second largest of the Channel Islands. I was 4, my brother was 7 when we were uprooted and brought here. Mum and Dad loved Guernsey. They had a great life over there, but it was very expensive back in those days before cheap airlines to get off the island, and they didn't want my brother and I ever to feel stifled by being on an island, so they wanted to move us to the mainland basically. So they travelled over here, they bought this farm, and it was just a working farm at that time. They renovated all the barns that were part of the farm originally, and they turned those initially into holiday cottages, and it's those cottages that now over the years have been various things, but they're currently long-term let, so we have tenants living in those cottages here on the farm. So when I say neighbours, it's the people that rent the cottages from my mum. So in answer to the question about the allotment, it kind of is a community allotment scheme, but it's only the people that live here on the farm. Now, Johnny isn't from Cornwall either. He lived in the southwestern of England, and I met him online on a forum back in the day before we had Facebook and stuff. 11 or 12 years ago we met. He moved down to Cornwall after a year and kind of came and shacked up with me, really. In the southeast, he was a builder, which is why I refer to him as the Grumpy Builder. It's kind of become his little nickname. And he is a builder. You know, he builds stuff. And when he was in the southeast, he used to specialise in doing like patios and driveways and that kind of thing. When he came down to Cornwall, obviously there's a lot less disposable income down here than there is in the southwest of England. It's a much wealthier corner of the country compared to down here. We're quite poverty line down here in Cornwall. So when he moved down, he realised that actually people down here don't spend that kind of money on patios and driveways. So it took a few years for him to find his feet. He's worked for various building firms around Devon and Cornwall. But in the last few years, he's been working for a neighbouring farmer. The lambs that you saw yesterday, they belong to the guy that he works for. He's got 400 acres of organic farm down on the coast of Cornwall. It's absolutely beautiful land. So Johnny is self-employed, but he works on that farm. And he does everything from building work to herding sheep to hedge laying to fencing. There's always something to do on such a big piece of land. I hope I pronounce your name right. Marcel Wells. That's a beautiful name. Marcel says, I have a question about cooking in your camper van. We have a camper van with 2 hobs, but I struggle for ideas. Have you considered or have you written a cookbook for 2-hob cooking? No, Marcel, I have not written a book for 2-hob cooking, but I have in fact written a book for 1-hob cooking. So my whole thing here on the channel before all these quarantine diaries was producing little videos showing you how to cook easy 1-pot recipes on 1 ring using 1 pan. the clues in the name, I guess. That's kind of what I've done here on YouTube for a couple of years. I really enjoy doing that. I really quite miss it. In the winter, I kind of had a little branch out and started reviewing camping coffee makers, because you might have noticed I have a little bit of a coffee habit, and I thought that'd be a fun way for me to test out all the coffee makers that are out there in a nice tax deductible manner. But I am looking forward to getting back into the whole one pot cooking stuff, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. If you are looking to buy a book, I have recently, like about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I released an ebook, which is a downloadable electronic book. I'll pop a link down to that below, and basically that can live on your phone or on your tablet, or you can print it out. You may have seen me use it a couple of times in a couple of different recipes here. The book that I released recently was 25 vegetarian one pot camping meals. I have another 2 books that I've kind of started on. I might need to ask you guys which one you'd be more interested in me finishing off first, actually, because trying to write 2 books at once is probably a little bit silly. So actually, let me just interrupt myself here. If anyone watching this could just pop down into the comments below and tell me what you would like from a one pot camping recipe cookbook. That would actually be quite interesting to know what you guys would actually like. I'm sorry, but Sassy really wants to come and say hello. There she is, pretty girl. So yes, thank you very much for that question. I'll slip you a £5 for allowing me to promote the book so organically and authentically. Thank you. Next question is from the lovely Zelfia. Hi Zelfia, hope you're well. She wants to know how I met Rick, Damon and Cruz. So for those people that don't know, Rick is another YouTuber from a channel called Rick Van Man. Damon is another YouTuber from Nina the Ambulance Camper. We've also got in our little clan Joe and Austin and Dan. So there's a little gang of us, and we all we hang out online. We have hung out in person, except the only 2 camps I've been able to make it to, because they all live way up country. The only 2 camps I've been able to make it to, only Rick and Damon were at those camps. The other guys couldn't make it for various reasons, so I still haven't actually met the other 3 chaps. So how did I meet Rick and Damon? It was through YouTube, basically. We all have channels and obsess about camper vans, so I've got a feeling they found me over a recipe or the AeroPress review, maybe, can't remember, going way back. But we started chatting in comments, and then we met up, and we've been friends ever since. Taste bud technicians, what's your biggest struggle with food blogging? Oh my god, this is such a good question. So when I started food blogging in 2008, yes, who knew there was even internet back in 2008? Blogging was much like this. It was a community thing. So my blog had a community of readers, and each time that I posted a blog post, people would come and comment and chat, and it was very community based, and I'd then go and chat on their blogs and stuff. Over the years, that as a food blogger, that's definitely changed, and now it is all about bowing down to Google and doing everything in terms of SEO or search engine optimization. And because I run it as a business, obviously I need to keep on top of that, and that's not my forte. My forte is community and people, and feeding people, and kind of putting out a friendly slant into the world to hopefully lift up people's spirits. That doesn't work with Google, unfortunately. But that said, I sound like I'm moaning, and actually I should just be grateful that I've got an amazing business. That means I get to hang out on a farm all day long and really follow my dreams. So on the flip side of that question, what do I love most about food blogging is all the creative stuff. So obviously the food photography and the editing of food photos. Oh, I love doing that. The styling of a picture, the writing. I used to love writing blog posts. I used to find them really easy, but now you do have to write a blog post in a certain way for Google and other search engines. So that's kind of taken the creativity away from the writing for me a little bit. And I know that there's lots of memes going around about how food bloggers, you just want the recipe and yet you've got to scroll through pages and pages and pages. I appreciate that that's really tedious when you guys just want the recipe that you've been promised from Google or Pinterest or whatever. But please understand, from a food blogger's point of view, we actually need people to scroll down through that page because we have ads popped in amongst all the chatter and all the photos, and that's how we earn money. So that's how we can give you guys free recipes. Okay, Jules wants to know, I get eggs from a friend at work. Some are white, some are brown. They are all really yolky. By that I mean they have super yellow yolks when cooked in omelettes or scrambled eggs. My question, what makes them different coloured shells and why such yellow yolks? Freshness, maybe. So, different coloured shells come down to different breeds of chicken. So here in the UK, customers, people that go into shops, apparently prefer brown eggs. They look fresher, apparently, and they look more natural than white eggs, which is interesting. In the US, it's completely different. They see white eggs as being fresher and being a healthier choice than brown eggs, which I don't know who did that study, but that's the way that it's gone for many, many years. So over here, predominantly our chicken eggs are brown, and in the US, they're white. Just means that it's a different breed of chicken laying a different colour egg. So we did have some of my previous videos from a year or so ago, you might have seen I had some blue-green coloured eggs, which are beautiful. We've had white layers. I think actually in one of these quarantine diary videos, there might have been a white egg. So one of our older girls is a white egg layer. It's just to do with the biology of that particular chicken, or that particular breed of chicken, I should say, as to what colour eggs they lay. Now down to the yolks. If you go to a shop and you buy the caged hen egg, which I hope none of you do, when you see my chickens running around chasing grubs and things, that is not the life that a chicken has that produces really, really cheap eggs. So I know times are tough at the moment, but please only try and buy free range eggs if you can. Rant over. So if a chicken is out on grass, eating bugs, eating grubs, and getting all the vitamins and goodness from their natural environment that a chicken should be getting, then in theory their yolk will be a brighter yellow, even off into an orange. Now I do believe there are also supplements that can be added into a chicken feed, and I've got a feeling that marigold might be one of those supplements, like ground up marigold petals, I think, don't quote me on that. But there is a supplement that can be added to the little chicken feed pellets that can also make the yolk more orange. So you might sometimes find some very cheap, horrible caged eggs that have got very bright yolks. It's unusual though. I don't think I've ever seen any. So my chickens have all got very bright, dark yellow yolks, veering off a little bit towards an orange, which is lovely. It just looks really lovely. If you want to judge freshness of an egg, I think I've shown you the trick where you pop an egg in water, and seeing how it sits on the bottom or whether it floats will tell you how old it is. But also if you crack an egg, imagine that you've got a plate and you just crack an egg into the plate. A fresh egg, the white will be bouncy and like jellyfish, it will be raised off the plate, and then the yolk will be sitting very proud of the white. If an egg is older, the white loses that structure, so when you crack an older egg onto a plate, it just becomes like a puddle of the white, and then the yolk just kind of swims around in the middle there somewhere. So that's a way of checking if an egg is really fresh once it's cracked, is if it's sitting very proud, so you've got a very proud little yolk and then a real puffy looking little white, then you know that's a super fresh egg. The Retro Roamers, they ask, the Retro Roamers, are you a guy or a gal? And like any of others of you that have YouTube names that aren't your actual name, I never know who I'm talking to, a guy or a gal. So what are you, Retro Roamers? Let me know below. So the Retro Roamers want to know what software, if any, I use for my YouTube video editing. Oh my God. I'm going to answer this because I want to know what you guys use. So up until maybe 1 or 2 months ago, very recently, I've been using Adobe CC, so a cloud-based Adobe product called Premiere Pro, which was 20 quid a month. Very expensive. It's like professional level editing. It's way above anything I need, and I didn't use more than half actually of the program, and I was self-taught, so I'm sure I was doing things wrong, but I could spit a video out at the other end and it would do everything that I needed it to do. I've now cancelled that subscription and I've downgraded. So Adobe CC have brought out, I think a couple of years ago, they brought out Adobe Rush, which is aimed at people like me. It's actually, I think it's aimed more for people editing videos on their phone, but I use the laptop based version just because it's a bigger screen and it's I've never used the phone one, but I think I would find laptop editing easier. Adobe Rush is £10 a month. Do I love it? No, I find it all a bit glitchy, but I am banging out these videos every day currently using Rush, and it seems it's all right. I also pay for Adobe Lightroom, which is their photo editing suite, which I freaking love. That is amazing. Again, self-taught, but it's a superb piece of software. What I would really love is just to go and buy a program and install it on my computer so that it's there, so that I own the disk or the hard drive or whatever, and I can put it on any machine that I ever wanted to. But I think most software companies now go to the model where you're paying them every month rather than you're buying a product and that's that. So I'd love to know what you guys use for your video editing suite, because I don't love Rush. It's okay. Compared to Premiere Pro that I was using before, the professional model, Rush feels like a child's toy in comparison to Premiere Pro. So it's pretty lumpy, and it's there's no finesse in it whatsoever, but it still does spit out a video relatively quickly, I guess. But yeah, what do you guys use? I would love to know. Nicola would like to know, how long have I had my lovely Caravan and do I use it much? Probably like maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I guess. So I used to drive a Ford Focus before I had my camper van, and when we went to festivals and stuff, we would tow the Caravan. Johnny would tow the Caravan. I don't tow the things behind a vehicle. I'm a bit too scared for all that. So we used to love it for festivals because there's loads of room. You can obviously stand up. There's all that storage. It's brilliant. It was really, really good. It leaks pretty badly, and to be honest, that model I think it's a Swift Caravan from 1984, and apparently they were always renowned for leaking, even straight out the factory. So it got worse in the times that we were using it. So now that's why you see it inside the log shed, because if we left it outside over winter here, it would just be a big mouldy pile of rubbish. And if we have friends or family that want to come and stay and kind of pretend camp, then we put them up in there, and it's kind of fun. So Lisa wants to know, she says, I'm gardening like crazy, but it's a toss-up whether the pests or I will get to the harvest first. I know civilised England only has cute little wind-in-the-willow animals. Here in the wilds of California, we're fighting foxes and coyotes, large moles and rattlesnakes for garden dominance. Oh my God, give the garden to the rattlesnakes, please. Even if you could suggest deterrents for the moles, that would help. They've just destroyed a second row of butter lettuce. Oh God, I can't help. We do have moles here, but they've never once attacked my allotments. I wouldn't even know what to do with them. I know you can get, are they sonic things? You like sticks that you put in the ground and they emit something sound-wise that moles don't like. I don't know. Do they even work? I've seen people blow up mole runs as well. Are probably not the best thing to be doing. And the only other thing, if you're trying to grow lettuce and the darling moles are getting to them, can you not put them in pots? You could even bury the pots in the ground. No, would that work? Sorry, can't help. And so the next one is from Christine. This camper van that I'm in is a Volkswagen T4, in case you weren't familiar with that. Christine has a T5, so it's the more modern version of this van. They've been converting it into a perfect camper van. She wants to replace the lights, the interior ceiling lights, with LED ones, but can't find the right ones. Please, can you help? Well, Christine, yes I can, because I have a friend who works at one of the Volkswagen parts places called Heritage Parts. I emailed her and I asked her. She said, I've also found the correct part for the lady who asked you about the LED T5 interior lights. We don't have an image for them yet, but they will look almost identical to the standard ones, simply with LED lights instead. She'll need one for each light they intend to replace, and then she's given me a link to them. So my darling, pop down into the description box below and I will leave you said link. Oh, that's the last question. I have apparently waffled on for 38 minutes as well, so hopefully I'll be able to cut a lot of that nonsense out for you. Otherwise you're all going to be asleep by now. So there you go, another Q&A Sunday is in the bag. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please whack that thumbs up for me. And you know I need your questions for next Sunday, because I imagine we're still going to be on lockdown next Sunday too. How mad is this? It's so crazy. Also, can you all start having a little think about where on earth this channel goes after quarantine is lifted? Because I don't know what to do. I can't keep up with the daily vlogs, but do you still want vlogs? Do you want me to do weekly ones? Do you want me to stop showing you chicken poo and just go back to making one pot camping recipes? Are you only here for the coffee review? I mean, I don't even know anymore. What do you want? Please go and drop me a comment below if you've got any thoughts on where this should go. I would really appreciate that. Right, that's it. It's now officially lunchtime. If you've enjoyed this video, then please whack that thumbs up for me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for hanging out with me today. Thank you for spending your valuable Monday morning with me. It is appreciated. As always, keep smiling, look after each other, and I'll catch up with you in the next one. Take care.